Good morning, professional colleagues. My name is Clement Okundaye, Great Minds Valley. Today we'll be presenting to you our fixed asset model. Our fixed asset model is a very detailed and robust model, and is designed to be compliant with the provisions of IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards on non-current assets, especially PPE. The model is designed to make the management of fixed assets or PPE as easy as possible for accountants. Here, let's start from the setup page. Here we just have the details of the organization, the company name, the company address, the phone number. So you can just type all that in there. Company address, we'll go to GRA Lagos, phone number, and so on and so forth. Some companies have many locations where they operate from. They have different branches. So here you just list your different locations that you have for your organization. You can list as many as possible. Then as you scroll down, you have the different asset classes. We have the usual asset classes: land, building, plant and machinery, motor vehicle, and so on. So you might want to include any other asset class that your organization might be using. So you can include it down here. And here, the code here is automatically generated by the system. So further down, you have the different asset category. As we have in IFRS, sometimes we have assets being broken down, different asset classes being broken down into different asset category. For instance, you might have plant and machinery. Another plant and machinery might have different types of asset category. For instance, here we have plant and machinery, and here we have sausage roll equipment, we have refrigerating equipment, and we have frying equipment. So this is just a food. This is an example of a food manufacturing company. So that is their asset categories, and here we have the useful life of each specific asset categories. So further down, this is where you impute and customize your asset category according to what you have in your organization. Here you have plant and machinery, for instance. So what you do is just type whatever category you want to include here. Let's say for here we want to add, say, drying equipment. So we just type it on the right side there, and as you enter, it becomes part of your drop down list of assets of plant and machinery. Let's go look at it. Plant and machinery, you have the list of assets here. Plant and machinery. Under plant and machinery, you can then select the list of categories under plant and machinery. So here we just added drying equipment, so it appears there right now, and that is it. So we can then add the useful life. Let's say the useful life of plant and drying equipment is 4 years. So that's the 4 years. So just type the number. You don't need to type the text. So that's it. So let's go to the fixed asset register. The fixed asset register is where all assets that are purchased by the organization is listed. It's not until you fall that you fly. When your dreams come take a shot, chase. So that's the fixed asset register. Under the fixed asset register, for instance, we have a typical. We just have examples here. Telephone line, the model name, the serial number. Now this tag, sometimes you need to tag your fixed asset. So the system automatically generates a tag number as you list your fixed assets one by one. The system automatically generates a tag number. Now this tag number just takes the first 3 letters of the company name and then the serial number according to the order in which the assets are purchased and listed. So here you have the location. There's a drop down here. It flows down from what you have already listed in your setup page. So you choose the particular location that you want. Okay, then the custodian of the asset, is it assigned to a particular staff, or is it assigned to the supervisor or the manager in charge of that location? So whoever is in charge, list his name there. Then the vendor that supplied the asset. Now this is important in case you want to refer back in terms of maintenance and after sales support, just to have the name that the equipment was purchased from this organization. Then you can then go back to your records and call up the particular vendor in case you need to do maintenance on that asset. So the date of purchase of the asset is listed here. This is the date of purchase of the asset price, then the asset class. So under asset class, let's say this is telephone line, so let's say we list it under equipment. So under the category, we can list it under office equipment. Okay, so that's it. The useful life, all these ones automatically populate according to what you have already set up in your setup page. The useful life is 5 years, because the useful life of that category of asset is 5 years, so it automatically populate. Here is where you also have to select. This is the place where you can then assign a status to your fixed asset. Here we say the asset is in use because the asset is being used now. Then at the point where your fixed asset is disposed, you click here and say dispose. And if the asset has been revalued, you also click and say it has been revalued. So you have a drop down in use, disposed, revalued, according to the status of the fixed asset. So here you have your accumulated depreciation. This is automatically calculated by the system. If the asset is disposed, so you state the disposal date, the disposal amount, and if there are any selling costs incurred in selling the asset, in disposing of the asset, you just write it there. Then if the asset has been revalued, you put the revaluation date, the last revaluation date. You include the revaluation amount, the fair value at the revaluation date, and that is it. So what you have here is the carrying amount of the fixed asset. So that's basically your fixed asset register. Excuse me. Now let's go to the fixed asset report. The fixed asset report is where you have the fixed asset schedule. Excuse me. So on the fixed asset schedule, you can state the period for which you want the report to show. Like here, we've selected 1st of January 2019. So let's make this one 2019. That's a period of 1 year. So here, this is the fixed asset schedule you're looking at. This is the fixed asset schedule. On this header here, you can select how you want to arrange your schedule. Whether you want to put building first or motor vehicle. Anyone you select, all the details relating to that will automatically pop up. For example, you choose motor vehicle, see all the details you're popping up here relates to motor vehicle. And here I have cost. Motor vehicle has cost, motor vehicle has revalued amount. But that category, that class of asset has been revalued, and according to IFRS, if you revalue IFRS cost revaluation model, if you revalue one asset in a class of asset, you have to revalue every other asset in that class of asset. So if the status is revalued, you click here to say revaluation model, the asset has been revalued. So it will show the fair value of the asset. So if it's still at cost, you are using the cost model for that class of asset, so you just select cost. So from the example we have already revalued the motor vehicle class of asset, so we'll just click revalue there. Here, let's go back to land. What was there before? That was land. Okay, so and so on and so forth. Here you have your totals, and this is your fixed. This is your fixed asset schedule. So if you want it for a quarter, all you need to do is to put the date. This the one we did just now for 1 year. So if I want it for a quarter, the quarter ends March 31st. So what you have here is the quarterly fixed asset schedule. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation.